Hello, this is Mr. Painter with another fabulous Quizzette tutorial. Today we're working on Quizzette 812. So this is our second Quizzette for our unit for linear equations. All right, the first step to being successful on this Quizzette is to please put your name on your paper. Because my name is Mr. Painter. I will be your host today. However, if you could please put your name and not my name, you'll be more successful. And after you're done putting your name on your paper, if you could please put today's date written on the board and your team in color. Give you about 10 seconds to go ahead and copy that down. Then we'll start on our Quizette. All right, looks like you're pretty much ready to go. All right, here we go, Monday. Now notice today we have added something called an agenda section. So where it says copy in your agenda, what you're going to do is you're going to copy in your agenda for today's date, number 1, celebrations, number 2, the Quizette for Monday, and number 3, we have 1IXL AA4 slope intercept form. So what you're going to do right now is you're going to pause the video, take out your agenda, and copy this into your agenda. And you're going to do this every single day throughout the week. So for an example, Tuesday, here we go. That's the lesson plan, right? So you're going to copy that in your agenda. Wednesday, also in your agenda, and Thursday. What I would do is copy it down one day at a time. So for an example, copy Mondays on the day of Monday. So Tuesday, don't do this until Tuesday. Same thing, Wednesday, don't copy it down until Wednesday. That way you're not doing too much on Monday. All right, so go ahead and pause the video and copy this in your agenda. And when you are done writing that in your agenda, go ahead and unpause the video because we're going to get started on number 1. All right, looks like you have unpaused the video. We're going to start on number 1. Here we go. All right, number 1, what is the unit rate of a car traveling at a distance of 210 miles in 3 hours? All right, the unit rate, let's write this down. Unit rate is equal to 1. All right, and it can be one of anything. But in this case, because we're talking about 3 hours, we're talking about 1 hour is going to be our unit rate. So unit rate refers to 1 of whatever the rate is. And the rate is usually a form of time. All right. So unit rate, we have 210 miles in 3 hours. So that car is moving pretty good. So what I need to do is to find the unit rate, I need to divide 3 into 210. Now, it is very reasonable to say that you should not need a calculator for this. So you should be able to divide. So just a friendly reminder dividing, you're going to put the small number on the outside of the house and the 210 on the inside. So 3 goes into 21. Let's see, 3 goes into 21. Oh, 7 times because 3 times 7 is equal to 21. So that one is really nice. So what happens is you're going to subtract as you put numbers in. So 21 minus 21 is 0. Then you bring down the next number of the equation until you run out. Now, the thing here is 3 goes into 0. Oh my God, I forgot. 3 goes into 0. You know what? It's kind of weird, but I don't remember 3 going into 0 at all. So if 3 can't go into 0, I'm going to say 0 times. So minus 0, and I'm still at 0. Now, the last 0 here represents the remainder. In this case, we have no remainder. So 70, what are we talking about? Miles. Now, talk about the rate. 70 miles, what are we trying to get to? Oh, we're trying to get to 1 hour. 70 miles per hour. So that car is on the freeway, probably going down the 10 freeway to Arizona. And did it hit no traffic? Just cruising along 70 miles an hour. So that's a great drive for me. All right. So that's what we're looking for unit rate. We're looking per hour or just 1 unit of time. All right. The next section, we're going to use the graph below for the questions numbers 2 through 4. Now, a graph represents something that might be happening over a period of time. So in this case, we have a beautiful red line. A couple things I could tell you about the red line is because it is leaning towards the right. It is going in a positive direction. The graph is also something called linear. The word linear means straight line. So in 8th grade, we're mostly going to deal with linear lines. However, when you get into high school, you're going to notice that your lines are going to be nonlinear, which will represent maybe sometimes of something of a conics or a quadratic, where the line will bend or change directions. All right, so number 2, what are they asking for us on this linear positive line? Number 2 is asking for what is the x and y intercept. Okay, now notice that the word intercept is underlined, which is a key word here. The intercept means to cross. So underneath the word intercept, write the word to cross. So now when I reread you the question, you're going to understand better. What is the x and y to cross of the line? So basically, where is it crossing the x-axis, which is the line going horizontal? How to think about that for a minute. And the line going vertical up and down is called vertical. All right, so starting with the x-axis, x-intercept, okay, x-intercept equals x-intercept. All right, so here's the x-axis going side to side, so it is that to that, and notice it is crossing here. So the x-intercept is equal to, well, how do we get there? -1, -2 going back. So I'm going to have a -2. Now, for the y value, notice I do not go up and I also do not go down. So when you go neither up or down, the y value is 0. So in this case, the x-intercept is equal to -2, 0, because it represents a point. All right. Now, what about the y-intercept? Y-intercept. So the y-intercept is where does it cross the y-axis? Notice the y-axis is the vertical line going up and down on the Cartesian plane. So in order to get to the y-axis, notice that when we start in the middle again, don't go right, bad, and don't go left. Because we don't go right or left, the x value of the y-intercept would be located there. However, because the x value is not left or right, we're going to go ahead and just mark it as a 0 because we don't need an x value. Now, the y value is represented by the numbers we count up. So in this case, we're counting up 1, counting up 2, counting up 3, and counting up 4. And when we count up represents positive. So we're going to have a y-intercept of 0 and 4. And that's going to complete question number 2. All right, number 3. What is the slope m of the line? Now, slope is usually represented by the letter m. So just kind of get used to seeing a letter m. And even on test questions, you're going to see that as well. All right, so notice that I give you a hint here. They gave you something called the rise. Then they've also given you something called the run. When you talk about the rise means to go up or in a vertical upward direction. The run, we can go left or right. Now, when we talk about the run, if you were to count to the right, that is a positive and will change the fraction into a positive. But for whatever reason, if you kind of count to the left, you will have a negative fraction. So we are going to start at the lower point. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start on the x-intercept. So on the x-intercept, I'm going to count to match the same height as my y value. So counting boxes or grid lines is what I'm looking to do. So in order to do that, we're going to count by the box. So that's 1 box, that's 2 boxes, that's 3 boxes, and bam, we're at the same level. That's 4 boxes. So our rise is a total of 4. Now, in order to go to our y-intercept, notice that we have stopped here and we need to count to the right. And because we're counting to the right, that's going to be a positive fraction, so we're not going to need the negative. So counting to the right, I'm going to count over 1 and 2 boxes. So now that I've actually hit the point and I'm matching it, the run is 2. So the slope of the line is 4/2. Now notice we've been given a hint here that we could be simplifying the fraction. So you always want to simplify it down. So let's say here we can divide top and bottom by 2. So we can divide by 2 and divide by 2 because we are going to do something called simplify the fraction. So 2 divide 2 is 2. Huh. Yeah, you caught me right there, right? So 2 divided 2 is 1. Very good. You're like, Mr. Painter, what is wrong with you? Got 1. Now, 4 divided 2. How many times does 2 go in the 4? Oh, that is 2 times. Very good. All right. So now we got 2 over 1. Now, try to think, can you simplify 2 over 1 any further? You're probably thinking, why, yes, Mr. Painter, actually we can. So 2 divided 1 is actually equal to a whole number of 2. So a slope can be a whole number of 2. So 2 over 4 is equivalent or equal to 2 over 1, and 2 over 1 is also equivalent or equal to a whole number of 2. So our slope is 2. All right, our last question. Question number 4. What is the equation of a line in slope-intercept form? Now, for the next several weeks, we're going to be using something called y equals mx plus b. So I'm circling that because that's something you need to get used to. Again, we're going to be using that for several weeks moving forward. All right. Now, where m is the slope, so I'm going to make note of that. M is the slope. And notice how m, we talked about that being the slope earlier as well. All right. And we're going to say also b is the y-intercept. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take our values from number 2 and number 3 to fill in the equation. So let's start with the slope. M is the slope, and we have already done that from question number 3. Because m is equal to 2, we're going to take that 2 and plug it back into our equation. So that 2 goes in front of the x, which represents the slope of a line. Now, our b value, which represents the y-intercept, comes from the y-intercept we did here. Now, the b value, you're only going to use the y value. You don't need the x value. So the number that comes last in the sequence of an ordered pair, where the 0 is the x value and the 4 is the y value, we're only going to use the 4. So in this case, our final equation is going to be y equals 2x plus 4. And there you have it. That's going to be our fabulous Quizzette for Monday on 8/12. Thank you, and have a great day.